We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Friday, May 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin and you're tuning into News Generation. Joining us today is Iwonbin.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Kang Munju.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So, Friday is when we dive into topics that resonate with young people around the world. And next week, we have a two-day holiday here in Korea, as Monday marks both Children's Day and Buddha's birthday. And in honor of the latter, today we're going to turn our attention to a cultural shift that's been gaining traction among young people. And that is the growing interest in Buddhism. So starting off, we're going to talk about Buddha's birthday itself. So Wonbin, how is Buddha's birthday celebrated here in Korea and what's the meaning behind it?
Of course. So Buddha's birthday is a national holiday here in Korea that celebrates the birth of Buddha. It's very similar to how Christmas celebrates the birth of Jesus in Christianity. And leading up to the holiday, you'll see lantern lighting ceremonies held across the country. These lanterns symbolize wisdom, peace, and compassion, which are key values in Buddhism. Even major public spaces like Gwanghwamun are decorated with large-scale lantern towers, drawing in both locals and tourists as well. And to help the viewers to get a better understanding, as you can see in the picture, the whole atmosphere feels very peaceful and reflective, yet also festive with a good balance of spiritual tradition and community celebration.
And leading up to Buddha's birthday, Munju, I heard that a big-scale event on Buddhism recently took place here in Seoul, right?
Yeah, correct. So last April, the Seoul International Buddhist Expo, the South Korea's largest Buddhist cultural festival, was successfully held, gaining over 200,000 attendees, which is twice as many as last year's. And the event drew significant interest, particularly from the MZ generations. And it was established as a trending hotspot during those April. And visitors participated in a variety of Buddhism-inspired activities, while the marketplace for Buddhist-themed goods kind of created an atmosphere for lively festivals and also the stylish cafe.
Definitely. So we're now going to zoom into our main discussion topic of the day, which is how would you describe the current perception of Buddhism among our generation, Wonbin?
Now, surprisingly, at least to the younger generations, for regardless of which generation you're in, religion was supposed to be considered as less of an exciting or a dynamic topic. It was more like a boring culture. But among the NZ generations nowadays, Buddhism has taken on a surprisingly cool or even trendy image in the past few years, way improving from the past. And you can see this in pop cultures. For example, Blackpink's Jennie used Buddhist visuals and themes in her music. And IVE's Chang Won-young recently recommended a book based on the Buddhist teachings. Now, these moments may seem small, but they really caught people's attention and sparked curiosity, excuse me, especially for foreigners where Buddhist is not that familiar for them. And for younger Koreans who are used to this fast-paced digital lifestyle, there's something really refreshing about the philosophy that encourages calmness, reflection, and depth as well. So naturally, it's starting to gain more traction from the younger audience.
Right, and what's also noteworthy is because I think we mentioned this on Newsgem before, but more young people are kind of distancing themselves from religion, but at the same time, they are showing a growing interest in Buddhism, right, Munju? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. So one notable trend these days in South Korea is the growing religious disengagement, although we've all known that South Korea has a long tradition of freedom of religion. So according to recent statistics, nearly half of the population identifies as non-religious, with the percentage being even higher among younger generations, the number being 69% of people in their 20s and 63% of those in their 30s. And interestingly, despite this shift, many MZ generation is more increasingly engaging with the Buddhist culture in South Korea here. So not necessarily it's because of the religious practice, but it's just like a form of lifestyle experience. A prime example is 나는 절로 event. Unique. I mean, you guys can all think about it, right?
It sounds familiar.
It's a unique matchmaking program held at Buddhist temples,
Right.
inspired by a popular TV program 나는 솔로 in South Korea. This event, which allows participants to meet and connect with each other in a temple setting, has gained significant popularity among young people.
So young people are so into Buddhism that we're now seeing matchmaking events taking place in temples as well, which leads us to our next big question. What do you think is driving this big interest in Buddhism among young people?
Well, I think before I explain the main reason, I just want to mention that they're compared to the past, they're really doing a good job with being trendy on the events that they held
And more friendly. And
more
accessible.
friendly, and it's more themed towards younger generations. Whereas religious ceremonies would be considered a little bit boring or calm. They would have these festivals and like exciting musics and even some guests that younger people might like.
Right.
So I really wanna. It probably plays a big role on the rising interest. And mainly, Buddhism is becoming more appealing because it offers a like inner peace or inner compass to the younger generations. A quiet guide that helps people navigate through the chaos of daily life. Younger generations, if we look into their life, especially the MZs, they're dealing with a lot of pressure from work, relationship, uncertainty about future, like trying to calculate when they can buy their first house. And in the middle of all that, Buddhist teaching feels like a reset button. And now instead of giving direct answers, they always help you to slow down, reflect, and ask better questions. More people now see Buddhism not as just as a religion, but as kind of a practical philosophy, because it's not something that you should always do regularly or invest your time into it. It's something that you can just apply to your mindset and your daily decisions. So now, without needing to fully convert to a religious lifestyle mode, and that flexibility is definitely playing a big role in this rising interest in the religion.
What we can experience at temple is very different from what we encounter in our daily lives. For example, immense amount of pressure and stress, which could be the reason why temples are drawing more young people to them.
Absolutely.
And do you also relate to this, Moonju?
Yeah, of course. I cannot more agree with Wonbin today. Trendy movements and flexibility, I think that's the most important part of Buddhist. So for the MZ generation who values self-expression and respect, Buddhism's inclusivity and sense of freedom likely hold a strong appeal. So Buddhism emphasizes a culture of not enforcing beliefs and embracement. So this flexibility and welcoming approach aligns well with the preferences of younger generations these days. And in fact, the South Korean Buddhist communities, the pioneering movement, drew great attention from the MZ generation called Yujin Snim.
Oh.
Right? So Yoon Sung-ho, a Korean comedian better known as Yujin Snim.
It's him on the screen.
Yeah, you can see him over there. Once released a behind story of him being the Yujin Snim. So himself actually is a longtime Buddhist, and his original Buddhist Dharma name was Ilchin. And then in 2023, he received a new name called Yujin, meaning a moving forward in a new direction. That's how he became Yujin Snim. And on the same year, he was invited as a DJ at the Lotus Lantern Festival, which he now became a hot and icon of the Korean Buddhist community.
And last year when Yujin Snim became really big, we mentioned how he also faced some backlash in countries where Buddhism was really big. But I think that it's known that we can agree that he really helped promote Buddhism, especially among younger people.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He kind of niche like younger generations of what we like, what we want to see in religion as like peaceful mindset and like kind of moving out from our busy life, right? So I think that's kind of why young generations are liking Buddhists right now.
Absolutely. And also Korean Buddhism isn't just attracting local attention, as you just saw from examples like Yujin Snim. It's also finding a lot of followers and fans overseas. So Wonbin, could you first walk us through a few examples?
Absolutely, I can. So one of the most visible global examples in is the Korean temple cuisine, which is deeply connected with the Buddhist values, especially the fermentation-based ingredients like doenjang, which is soybean paste, gochujang, which is Korean pepper paste, and 간장 as well, the soybean sauce. Now, these ingredients are really familiar to us local Koreans. And what's interesting is that this food culture is now spreading globally, not just getting more popular in Korea. we're seeing restaurants overseas, especially in the US and Europe, take inspiration from temple cooking. And this style of food avoids meat. They focus on seasonal-based ingredients and uses very minimal processing. In a world that's now heavily focused on sustainability and environmental impact, this way of eating really aligns with the Western interest in plant-based diet and mindful eating. So it's not just about food, it's about the philosophy being expressed through food, which makes it more approachable for international audience.
And I recently covered a story on temple food and I even tried it. It's really, really good. So if you have a chance to try a Korean temple food, don't hesitate, try them out. I also heard that Korean cultural centers overseas are opening a lot of temple food related programs. So maybe you could check out your nearby Korean cultural center. And it's not just food, but also another very immersive hands-on experience is becoming big among locals and also international visitors to Korea, right, Bunju?
Yeah, first of all, I will definitely try temple food. Just by the way, so anyways, over the past 20 years, the number of foreigners participating in temple stay programs has continuously been increasing. So temple stay is a program consisting of multiple peaceful activities that could relax yourself. Details coming soon from Wonbin, so stay tuned. Anyways, they identify their reasons for a visit as experiencing traditional Korean culture, engaging in self-reflection and mental relaxation, and last but not least, gaining a deeper understanding of Buddhist culture.
So as Bunju just mentioned, one of the most exciting ways to experience Korean Buddhism is the temple stay experience, and where you can spend a night or two living like a monk, for example, chanting, meditating, and even enjoying temple cuisine. More details, once again, will be provided by Wonbin in the later part of the show. But we asked our viewers first, what's the biggest draw of a temple stay? So the options were number 1, temple food, number 2, mental and physical reset, number 3, experiencing Eastern culture and philosophy, and number 4, other reasons. If we look at the results, 57% chose mental and physical reset, followed by learning about Eastern culture and philosophy, and temple food. And we also have some comments from our viewers. Our first comment for this Friday is by Park Emmanuel 85. I really like their architecture and how warmly they explain their culture and traditions. Zuwei Tang 4929 says, as a Buddhist, upon arrival at a temple or pagoda, every turbulence in the mind is settled down. It gives me a sense of calmness and coolness. Benny D97 says, for me, resting my mind and body is one of the main reasons why I like to have a temple stay when I go to Korea. You should definitely try out temple stay, Benny D97. So after the break, we'll be joined by a young person from Australia who recently tried out a temple stay here in Korea. We'll be right back.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang.News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
So today we're joined by Australian millennial Sophie Schumacher. Sophie recently tried out a temple stay here in Korea. Welcome to the show, Sophie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Sophie, we'd first like to ask you, how are you engaging with Buddhism in your daily life? You could share your temple stay experience or other activities or experiences as well.
Thank you. So my exposure to Buddhism has been fairly minimal where I'm from in South Australia, but I first learned about it through learning meditation, and I was really curious to find out how I was taught from a Western lens, I guess, and I was curious to see how Buddhists teach meditation, where the Western teachings are kind of drawn from. So that was what led me to be interested in a temple stay experience during my visit to Korea. So yeah, last weekend I was at the Hwagyesa temple just out of Seoul, and I just had such an amazing experience. I wasn't expecting it to be so warm and inviting, and really it felt like an intimate experience, living life as a monk for a day and a night. So we had a very, very warm welcome from our monk Sunim Chongshim, who showed us around. We tasted amazing temple food, and one of my favorite experiences was the meal together, the blessing or the intention before the meal being around being very grateful and acknowledging the many hands that go into preparing the food, focusing on just taking what you need for nourishment and not being greedy or taking more than you need, and just really slowing down the pace of eating and really savoring each bite as well.
Well, thank you for sharing your temple stay experience and listening to you. I really want to try the temple food as well. Now, the next question,
right.
from your point of view, how do most people perceive Buddhism? How do most young people perceive Buddhism today?
It's difficult for me to say, talk on behalf of all young people, but from where I'm from, I didn't get a lot of exposure to Buddhism in daily life. I think the predominant religion, or at least how I was raised, was more Christian. So learning more about other religions in school, I think I got quite a surface level education around what Buddhism was. And so, but perhaps the points that you've made already around how sometimes young people feel religion can be outdated or doesn't necessarily relate to how we live in modern life. I think Buddhism has some really amazing solutions to people feeling stressed out by how busy life is and maybe how disconnected we can feel, even though social media sometimes can make us feel more connected to other people. Sometimes we can feel more isolated as well. So Buddhism, I think that connection and purpose and meaning to life, deeper meaning to life, is kind of a balm to the stress that we can feel without it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So our last question for you today is, what aspects of Buddhism do you think make it appealing to our generation?
I think something that really resonates with me is the idea of oneness, that coming from a more individualistic culture where you're kind of trying to put yourself first and striving for being the best, that idea that we're all equal and having equal respect for all beings and doing things for the collective rather than just for myself really resonates and helps me feel more connected to other people. So I'm sure that resonates with other young people as well. And just the ideas of kind of leading with love and compassion for other people as well. It's, again, helps me feel more belonging with other people and helps me feel better. I think the other thing is people probably similar to myself have been drawn to the benefits of meditation and slowing down and the positive effects for your mental health. And I think that's something that young people in our generation are talking more about and potentially maybe not struggling more with their mental health, but they're talking about it more maybe than our parents' generation and grandparents' generation. So the positive effects of slowing down and being more reflective and the benefits of meditation are a real draw card, I think.
All right. Sophie Shewalker, Australian millennial, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, wrapping up, whether you're spiritually curious or just in need of a break from the hustle and bustle from the city life, there are so many places where you can experience Korean Buddhism, which we talked about throughout our episode today. So, are there any spots or events you'd like to recommend for those interested in Buddhism?
Well, as every single participant of the show mentioned, Munju, Eugene, and Sarah, one good place to start is temple stay. Temple stay programs, which are offered at many temples across Korea. You get to basically experience Buddhist practices like meditation and praying, and also tea ceremonies, and even simple monastic meals with certain rituals or cultures, all while being surrounded by calm, silent nature. And if you're based in Seoul, temples like Jogesa are very accessible, and they often hold public events around Buddha's birthday as well. It's a very nice way to take a break from the city, as Sarah mentioned, and get a taste of Korean Buddhism, whether you're spiritually curious or just trying to catch a break from the busy life.
Right, and it's not just hundreds of temples nationwide. They offer temple stay programs. So if you're interested, I know that there is a website where you can find out which temples are available for temple stay. So you might want to check that out. Meanwhile, Munju, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so on May 5th, the Buddha's birthday, you have the perfect opportunity to experience a Korean Buddhist culture. So you can feel the atmosphere simply by visiting any temple nearby. But if you like more immersive experience, consider enjoying the beautiful lanterns at Dongguk University during the night. And additionally, May 5th is also the Children's Day, right?
Right.
Happy Children's Day to all children. And so with children, right, you guys can visit Bongeunsa Temple, which will host a free outdoor concert, featuring the National Chorus on May 5th. And it's open to all to enjoy, so why don't you pay a visit there?
Why don't you? And an early Happy Children's Day and Buddha's birthday from us to you. And that's all we have for today, but NewsGen will be back next Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time as we are taking the 2 holidays off next week. Special thanks to Lee Won-bin.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And Kang Moon-ju.
Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us throughout the week and hope to see you next week as well. We are News Generation.